Oh, good evening. Ah, Lisa. I just met your sister. What? My sister. Yes. She looked so much like you, I thought she was you at first. No. What's going on? My sister is here? Maybe she came without knowing I wasn't here. Could such a coincidence be possible? Ever since the first time my sister came to my house, she hasn't visited me at all. But, could such a coincidence really happen? I can't believe it, but I pretended not to know anything and entered the house. Inside, only the bedroom light was on, and at the entrance, there were shoes that I thought belonged to my sister. She really did come. I thought, but I just greeted my husband at the entrance, saying I'm home, and took off my shoes and went inside. Oh no, hide. The moment I heard my husband's voice, I heard the sound of the balcony door slamming. I understood. My sister and husband had that kind of relationship. There's only one thing to do. I went ahead and locked the balcony door. My name is Lisa, and I'm 28, currently working in sales at a small business. I didn't go to college due to family circumstances and got a job immediately. While sending money home, I managed to live in the city, and after stabilizing my family's finance, I had some money to spend on my own, but having struggled with money before, I mostly set aside except for living expenses. It wasn't a homey company, so there was no tendency for everyone to go out for drinks after work, and basically, after work, I went home, did my chores, and went to bed. Living like this, I had no opportunities to meet men, and I was starting to panic that I might not even be married by 30. Hello? Oh, hello? Sorry for calling out of the blue. I'm out drinking right now, but if you're free, why don't you come? Now? Yeah, I'm drinking with a male friend, and we just talked about you. He said he'd love to have some drinks with you if you're up for it. Normally, I wouldn't go out to such invitations. But I also felt like I wanted to find a romantic partner, and I was feeling the pressure about marriage. So, although I wasn't too enthusiastic, I decided to go to the bar where my friend was. If it wasn't the kind of drinking party I expected, I'd just head back home. I decided that and walked into the bar, where I found a man about my age and my friend drinking together. I was surprised because I thought it would be a group of people. When I took my seat, he smiled and started talking. Nice to meet you. Sorry for calling you out of the blue. But when I saw your picture, it was love at first sight. I really wanted to meet you. Love at first sight, I've never heard anyone joke about that. I'm not particularly beautiful, nor I have a model-like figure. Could he really have fallen for me at first sight? That thought crossed my mind, but more than that, I was overwhelmed with joy. Thank you. I was too nervous and a bit embarrassed to look him in the face and express my gratitude, but as the three of us talked, I warmed up to him, and we ended up exchanging contact information before parting ways. Then, the following Saturday, he invited me out for lunch. It's just lunch, but if I don't make a move, I might never get married. With that thought, I was nervous, but I agreed to go to lunch, just the two of us. As we continued to meet like this, I found myself falling for him. I wonder what he thinks of me. Does he just see me as a friend to have meals with, or as a potential romantic partner? He had said he fell in love at first sight, but was that really true? They say love is blind, but I couldn't think of anything but him. Then one day, he invited me to dinner instead of lunch. He took me to a fancy restaurant on a hill, and I dressed up and put on more makeup than usual. There he was, waiting in a suit. Thanks for inviting me today. I've never been to such a fancy restaurant, so I'm a bit nervous. I thought a beautiful woman like you deserves a place like this. Besides, I wanted to make today special. Special day. I told you when we first met, I fell in love at first sight, and after several meals together, I'm sure of my feelings. Would you go out with me? I thought it might be coming, but when he actually said that, my heart raced and I couldn't find the words. I was too happy and couldn't help but smile. After taking a breath, I said, yes. That's how our relationship started, and we got married about a year later. I was really happy that things went so well. I was glad to get married before turning 30, and my parents were as delighted as if it were their own happiness. I'm so glad, my parents were happy, and I love him. With him, I felt we could have a happy married life. I thought so at the time. So, about our future life, do you have any wishes to be a stay-at-home wife? About that, considering we might have kids in the future, I'd like to keep working until then. I couldn't go to college for financial reasons, so I don't want to put my own children through that. And I know your job is demanding, so I'll help as much as I can with the housework, is that okay? I'm not good at housework, and I often work late, so if that's okay with you, it's fine by me. But if you're gonna work, we should split the living expenses, right? What? Oh, yeah, that's fine. Splitting the living expenses. I have no complaints about that itself. If we're both working, it's only natural to split the living expenses. However, the way our conversation is going, it seems I'll be doing more of the housework. Of course, I'm good at housework, and I don't mind that, but if we're splitting the expenses, I'd like to split the housework too. I believe a marriage should be an equal partnership, without one person being superior to the other. Couples should cooperate and support each other, that's the ideal. However, his job and my job are completely different. Compared to him, who often works overtime, I usually finish on time. Considering that, it might be natural for me to do the housework. Also, my reason for wanting to work is to save money for the future. I'm not into buying branded goods or traveling, so putting half my income towards living expenses and saving the rest wasn't a hardship for me. Although I was a bit dissatisfied with the lack of fairness, I couldn't always have my way in everything, so I decided to accept it. One day. Hello? It's been a while. How have you been? What? Sister. I changed my phone number, but you had blocked the previous one, right? I'm your only sister, we should get along better. When I got a call from an unknown number, it turned out to be my sister who is 3 years older than me. I had cut ties with her and hadn't been in touch, so this was a shock. We had become estranged about 10 years ago. Back then, she was in college, and I had started working since I couldn't afford college myself. I had a supportive boyfriend since high school, and we had been together for over 3 years. Back when I still had contact with her, she knew my boyfriend. But then, on Christmas Day, the truth came out. He was busy with a college paper and said he couldn't meet for Christmas, so our date was cancelled. I thought it was understandable, priorities and all, but in reality, he was cheating with her. I later found out that she seems to get a thrill from stealing other people's boyfriends, and this time I was the target. After that, I cut her off completely, and after graduating, I was even disowned by my family. So, her contacting me after 10 years was really surprising. What does she want? I'm married now and have no desire to associate with someone who steals partners. What do you want? I really have nothing to talk to you about, sister. Don't be like that. Besides, I heard you got married? Wait a minute. How do you know that? I heard you were estranged from mom and dad too. We went to the same school, so it's not strange we have mutual acquaintances. Plus, if you look on social media, it's easy to see you got married. Well, she's right about that. It's really depressing to know that the worst kind of person knows about my marriage. There's an unforgivable past with her. She stole my boyfriend, someone important to me. Of course, even if she tries to get close and take my husband now that I'm married, I can't see it being that easy. But for someone like me who wants to eliminate any risk from my surroundings, her existence is a nuisance. So why the sudden contact? It's none of your business whether I'm married or not, right? Well, maybe, but as your sister, isn't it natural to want to congratulate my sweet little sister on her marriage? Congratulations. I hope you'll be happy from now on. Thank you, but no matter your blessings, I have no intention of associating with you. With that, I hung up the phone. There were no more calls from her, but I sighed many times afterward. Why now? Just when I was starting to move on to a new phase in life as a married woman. Maybe over the last 10 years, she had come to regret her actions. It might have been just a pure blessing on her part, but to me, it's unforgettable and unforgivable. No matter how much time passes, I can't and won't trust her. From now on, I didn't even want her to contact me. And then, 1 week later, as my husband and I were home on a day off, the doorbell rang. I was just doing the dishes, so my husband answered the door. "Sorry to intrude. It's been a while." "What? No way, why are you here? I can't believe you have a sister. She wasn't at the wedding, and you never told me about her. We've got to make proper introductions, don't we?" "Wait a minute, how did she even find out where I live?" And I told her I didn't want any involvement with her anymore. My mind went blank, and I struggled to contain my anger towards my sister, but my husband was welcoming her, and I didn't want to make a big deal out of it right now. I managed to suppress my feelings and get through then. She made excuses like being busy with work for not attending the wedding, but I didn't want to start an argument, so I just nodded along and didn't say anything unnecessary. After about 3 hours or so, my sister and husband exchanged contact information, and she left looking satisfied. I wanted to say something about why she was exchanging numbers with my husband, but I was afraid he'd think I was jealous. Maybe I had too much pride, or I wanted to be seen as a composed woman, but I couldn't stop them. I was more worried it would end up like it did 10 years ago. "Why didn't you introduce me earlier? I had no idea you had a sister. I've cut ties with her. And about 10 years ago, she stole my boyfriend. That's why I don't trust her anymore. I see you've exchanged numbers, but please, don't contact her." I had wanted to appear calm and composed when they were exchanging contact information, but I couldn't just keep quiet about this. I trusted my husband, but I had been betrayed by my boyfriend 10 years ago. It's not impossible that something could happen again. That's why I explained everything that happened 10 years ago to my husband in detail and begged him not to get involved with my sister. "I see. Okay, I understand. I don't think there's any need to contact your sister, don't worry. I'm married now, and I wouldn't make such a mistake. Thank you, just hearing you say that makes me feel more secure." I was relieved. My husband believed and understood me. Well, my sister might keep contacting him relentlessly, but if my husband ignores her, that should be the end of it. I've come too far to let my sister ruin my happy life now. For a while, I was anxious about whether my sister had contacted him, but every time I asked, my husband reassured me that nothing had happened, and gradually, I stopped thinking about my sister. About a year later, there was a company drinking party, and I told my husband I wouldn't be home until late. It was February, and this year the temperatures were extremely low, sometimes below freezing from night to early morning. I wanted to get home quickly and jump into a warm bath, but since it was a company event, I reluctantly attended. However, it seemed I wasn't the only one who felt that way, and surprisingly, we wrapped up around 8 p.m. I was glad. I had told my husband it might take until 10 p.m., but I thought I'd surprise him by coming home early. "Hi, good evening." "Oh, Lisa. I just met your sister." "What? My sister?" "Yes. She looked so much like you, I thought she was you at first." "No. What's going on? My sister is here?" Maybe she came not knowing I was out, but could such a coincidence be possible? Ever since the first time my sister came to my house, she hasn't visited me at all. But, could such a coincidence really happen? I can't believe it, but I pretended not to know anything and entered the house. Inside, only the bedroom light was on, and at the entrance, there were shoes that I thought belonged to my sister. She really did come, I thought, but I just greeted my husband at the entrance, saying I'm home, and took off my shoes and went inside. Oh no, hide. Though not loud, the house was so quiet that I could hear my husband's voice. Hide? Is he trying to hide my sister? It's going to be obvious what's happening soon enough. What kind of excuse can he possibly come up with? I was certain they were having an affair, yet surprisingly, I was calm, only thinking about how to confront them both. But neither of them was in the living room or the bedroom. Hello? Is anybody there? No response came back. No, could it be that my husband is also hiding? If so, it doesn't make any sense. Hiding my sister and waiting for me to take a bath so they could sneak her out, I could understand that. But why hide together? I had no idea what my husband was trying to do, but I wondered where they could be hiding and started searching the rooms. But wait a minute, why aren't they anywhere? I searched every corner of the room, but they were nowhere to be found. They couldn't have escaped through the front door because the bedroom is on the second floor. And my sister's shoes were still at the entrance. Only a few minutes had passed since I got home. Where could they have disappeared to? Then I noticed something odd. The curtains, which are usually open even at night, were closed today. It was one of my husband's unbreakable habits, suspicious. Thinking this, I quietly opened a window near the balcony. And then, weren't you supposed to be back around 10? This is totally different from what you said. I was surprised too. I never thought Aci'd be back this early. What are we gonna do? Let's wait for her to take a bath or something. I heard my husband and sister whispering these things, and realized they had hidden on the balcony. If it had come to this, there was only one thing for me to do. Without opening the curtains, I slid my hand through the gap and locked the balcony door. In that instant, they panicked and tried to open it from outside, but I turned off the light and headed to the bedroom. Their clothes were left strewn about, and they were locked out on the balcony in the middle of winter without their clothes. Honestly, I was disappointed in my husband, but for now, I just lay down on the sofa in the study on the first floor. Then, probably realizing the trouble they were in, my husband called. Hello? Hello? You're back? Yes, but I don't know what you're doing on the balcony. Why don't you reflect on it overnight? I said just that and hung up the phone. He called several more times, and they kept banging on the window from the balcony, but after I texted them that calling the cops might be next if they continued, they stopped completely. Well, maybe they thought the police could help them, but they probably couldn't think straight because of the cold. Of course, I left the balcony door locked that night and slept in the study, and the next morning, I realized I couldn't just leave them out there indefinitely, so I decided to unlock the door. There they were, looking like they hadn't worn clothes all night and were nearly debilitated. Hey, it's getting cold inside. If you're coming in, could you hurry up? I said that, and they silently entered the room. They had been left out in sub-zero temperatures. They probably didn't even have the energy to speak. Well, I don't really care about that. For now, since I didn't want to look at their bodies, I made them put on the clothes they had left and sit in the living room. Can you explain from the beginning what happened? What were you two doing while I was away? And this isn't the first time, is it? I mean, you can lie if you want, but just so you know, it will be easy to find out, so I wouldn't recommend it. I'm sorry. My husband isn't the type of person to stand up for himself. I hate to say it, but my boyfriend from 10 years ago was the same way. Maybe he was seduced by my sister and couldn't resist. But that's no excuse. He should have firmly declined since he's married. I had warned him about this. Failing even that, as a person and as a husband, he's finished. I had no intention of defending him, and even though he came to apologize, I had no intention of forgiving him. You need to tell me what you're apologizing for. I'm sorry for having an affair. So, you did have an affair? I'm sorry. I thought once wouldn't hurt, but then it just continued. It seemed like he was straining to speak, but clearly, it had started when he succumbed to my sister's seduction. Why can't he tell right from wrong? Was he that desperate? But at least he's apologizing, which is more than I can say for my sister. She started it and had done the same thing 10 years ago, yet she hadn't said a word of apology. Just sitting there warming her own hands. Is this a joke? So, nothing from you, sister? Do you understand what you've done? It's below freezing outside, and you locked us out. We could have died. You haven't changed at all in 10 years, have you? Don't you think what you did was wrong? What if something had happened to us? Don't tell me you didn't understand that. That's my line. After doing the same thing 10 years ago, hasn't she learned anything? What has she been thinking all these years? She's over 35, an adult stealing someone else's partner. What's fun about that? Cheating is something even a child knows is wrong. Does a woman over 30 not understand that? It's outrageous, and with my sister not even trying to apologize, all I felt was beyond anger. I was disappointed. Just tell me one thing. Why did it have to be my partner again? You were always the favorite with our parents, and you got married. How could I stand by and watch you be happy while I was miserable? Don't you think it's weird I'm the only one suffering? Wait a minute. You told me I was handsome. You said even though you really wanted to get married, you'd be okay just being physically involved. Was that a lie? That was obviously a lie. I don't care about being physically involved. It could be anyone. It didn't have to be you. I was just using you because I was irritated seeing my sister happy and you were available. I see. Well, I figured as much, but my husband was completely duped by my sister. Pathetic, duped by my own sister and trailing after her like a puppy. It's like a honey trap, but both the seducer and the seduced are at fault. What my sister is saying is all over the place, considering everything she's done up to now. On the other hand, even though she graduated from college, why is she leading such a miserable life? I've had a tougher life than my sister. After high school, I worked hard and managed to get married because I seriously put in the effort. I bet my sister just played around after graduating college. It's only natural that this is the result of her actions now in her 30s. To resent me and try to ruin my life again is just insane. Well, I'm glad everything is clear now. I will be taking legal action, and I won't let this go easily. Legal action? What are you talking about? You should be apologizing to us first. Listen. The person you stole wasn't just a boyfriend, he was my legally married husband. This qualifies as infidelity, and you have to pay me compensation. Don't you understand such basic things? You went to college, but you don't know this common sense that even a high school graduate like me knows. Really, your education was a waste of money. When I firmly said this, my sister just gritted her teeth and glared at me, but because my argument was too solid, she couldn't respond. As I told my sister, I really intend to demand compensation, and I'm not just going to let this end with estrangement. I will pursue this to the fullest. She has messed up my life twice. She will take full responsibility for that. I will do better as a husband from now on. I'm truly sorry. Are you saying that to your future wife? We are getting divorced, so it doesn't matter. What? Why are we getting divorced? I apologized, didn't I? Do you think an apology fixes everything? Grow up. If apologies solved everything, we wouldn't need police or laws. Can you stop taking people for granted? Earlier, my sister didn't even apologize, and I thoroughly reprimanded her for that. So, my husband must have misunderstood that his apology might suffice. Doesn't he realize how ridiculous that sounds? If apologies were enough, then everyone in the world would just apologize after causing problems. Why do definitions of infidelity exist? Why do rights to claim compensation exist? Obviously, because an apology is not enough. You're an adult if you don't understand how to take responsibility for your actions. What kind of person have I been married to? I'm just disappointed in my lack of judgment. We will probably discuss this in detail through lawyers, but I'm severing ties with you too, and you will definitely be paying compensation. Be prepared for that. Wait. I don't have that kind of money. I haven't saved anything. I can't afford to pay compensation. That's not my problem. If you don't have the money, you'll have to borrow it and pay. If we can't agree on the compensation payment, I'm ready to take it to court. You better realize that this will only tighten the noose around your neck. No matter how much they apologize, I won't change my mind. After such a massive betrayal, I need to ensure justice is served. My sister has been silent since then, probably understanding what I'm saying. There's nothing more to discuss with them, and just sharing the same air is irritating. There's nothing left for me to say to you too, so I'll be leaving. Since the house wasn't in my name, I quickly gathered my belongings and left. I immediately contacted my parents, and I decided to stay at their place for a while. Naturally, my parents were furious about what my sister and husband had done, and they showed their full support for me. I then consulted a lawyer to claim compensation from them. They initially resisted, claiming they couldn't pay the amount, but when the lawyer mentioned taking it to court to set the sum, they reluctantly agreed. They probably realized they couldn't afford a lawyer for a court case, let alone the additional costs. Moreover, a simple free consultation would have told them that my claims were not unreasonable. Even if it had gone to divorce court, they would have almost no chance of winning, and frankly, no lawyer would want to take such a losing case. I received the compensation from them and cut all ties completely. They begged to make payments in installments because they said they didn't have the money, but I couldn't trust people who would betray others. I insisted on a lump sum payment, and they grudgingly complied. I then exposed everything to our mutual acquaintances, and as a result, they not only lost money but also their social connections. I suppose with their personalities, they would have drifted away from people anyway. I felt no sympathy watching them lose everything all at once. Somehow, word got out about what happened, and my ex-husband even ended up leaving his job because he had no place there anymore. He must struggle to pay off the debt he incurred for the compensation, but I think he should just suffer through it. I used the compensation to take a trip with my parents, refreshing my spirit before starting a new chapter in my life. Whether I remarry or who I might meet in the future, I don't know. But moving forward, I want to choose someone who can make sound judgments as a person. Someone who isn't swayed by immediate temptations and can control their own heart. That's the kind of person I want to find.